I'm very privileged to be sitting here today for a chat with Australian wedding dress designer Karen Willis Holmes. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, your dress designs are very highly acclaimed in our wedding industry. I think everyone knows who you are and what you do. Many of my brides have walked down the aisle looking absolutely stunning in one of your designs. So I know that a lot of your designs have also been featured across a range of media over the years. So we're talking like Hello May, blogs like Green Wedding Shoes, through to Vogue, Cosmo Bride, Modern Wedding. I guess to kick off our chat, I would love to know how you actually started getting into this industry. I don't know any other dress designers. So it would be great to know how you actually started doing what you do.
I always loved fashion. So to me, I'm a fashion designer and I sort of specialise in wedding gowns. So that's my take on what I do and who I am. So I studied fashion design and manufacture at TAFE in Perth. I'm English originally, which I say that just because I think that sort of like a lot of my design comes from that aspect
background
as well.
Yep.
And I slowly sort of worked and did different things. I moved back to the UK after I'd studied fashion here and I started working from home. But I was always sort of doing evening wear and dressy formal wear. I liked special occasion pieces, but I wasn't focusing on wedding gowns at all to start with.
Yep.
And then I went back to London and worked sort of like with a high-end sort of fashion brand who actually have since closed. But I loved doing that, and then I worked there for a few years. And then when I moved back to Australia again, I was sort of like doing fashion, but high-end fashion and kind of like small runs and made-to-order clothes as well. And then when I did move back from London, I took the end of someone else's lease. So I had like 2.5 years of lease left. But it really, fashion doesn't make much money anyway. And I was making no money. I was lucky to be even breaking even.
Yeah.
Yes. And to just get there. So I couldn't carry on and pay the full amount of rent. But in the meantime, I had done a lot of evening wear. And then a few people had asked me to do wedding gowns. So then I ended up sort of like doing wedding gowns by request for a few clients. And then I ended up doing more and more of those. And then when I had to leave where I was, he was not my husband then, but my now husband suggested I just specialise in wedding gowns. And at the time I didn't want to. I just saw that as a means to pay the rent, literally. But then as soon as I started doing it full time, I just loved it. I couldn't work out why I hadn't been able to work it out myself. So I absolutely needed a kick in that direction, but it's everything I like to do.
Glad he pushed you in that,
yes,
down
I'm
that
very
road.
glad he pushed me in that direction. I just love special occasion. I love beautiful fabrics. I love being able to have the skill set to make a beautiful piece of clothing. And to me, it's very old-fashioned in a good way. You don't get that sort of like availability of time or that people even want to invest that much effort from themselves, and obviously the dollar value as well. So it was lucky I found my little niche of where to go, and it suited everything I love to do. I just needed to be pointed in the right direction, really.
Yeah, look where you are today.
Yeah.
So it's pretty awesome.
Yes.
I think I love that your designs, they're all Australian made, aren't they? So you
in Australian and India,
yes,
actually. We get some pieces made in India too.
You make a lot of them here in your studios, don't you? Yes. So, and they're sort of not mass produced either, which I think is very different to a lot of other, whether it's wedding gowns or another garment of some sort. I mean, I think that's quite unique and sets you guys apart, really, doesn't it?
It does. And I learned, I mean, again, I sort of say I'm creating wedding gowns and I'm creating the business. And years ago, I was looking at different ways to expand and kind of what to do. And I did get a lot of wedding gowns made somewhere else, and they did have a much more mass-produced feel. I still liked them. I thought they were great. They didn't work and they didn't sell, and it taught me such an expensive lesson, but it taught me such a big lesson. And knowing what I love about what I do, everything has to have a handcrafted feel to it. And that's very much that sort of like makes me decide on something now. And that I'm so glad I did what I did to make it so obvious to me what I need to do.
I think sometimes our mistakes are what we need to push us in the right direction as well. Not mistakes, but you've found your niche basically now and do what you do really well. Now, what would a typical day look like for you when you're working?
It sort of varies. I've literally just started working 5 days a week. So I definitely was a workaholic before. So 2018 is my new less work time, which I am enjoying. So I work Wednesday to Sunday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are very much in the office and basically meetings and talking all the time and kind of going over things. So I don't actually get a lot of work, I'm going to say in inverted commas, done in those days.
Yes.
Then Saturday and Sunday I do my work, as in what I'm doing. So whether I'm doing my costings or I'm doing designing or I'm just kind of like playing around with something on a dummy. So it's more my time to make businessy decisions and things that I'm personally working on rather than helping everyone else work on the business with me.
Do you have quite a few people that work for you?
We've got nearly 50, so it varies around 50 altogether. But we've got 5 stores as well, so it's not just our workroom here. We've got so we literally do everything: design, manufacture, and retail and wholesale.
There's a lot for you to keep your eye on. No wonder you have to work like 7 million hours a week. Now your gowns, as we've touched on, are very intricate, so there's lots of sort of high level of attention to detail. You've got buttons and lace work and sort of everything in between. I would love to know how long it takes to actually produce a gown. Does it a long time, I would assume?
Really? And there's lots of different, it depends where you're asking the question from, and I know that sounds silly, but really a good year is an average kind of lead time of when it was a thought in my head to by the time it actually goes to that we've designed it, we've made it, we've worked on all the patterns, then we've gone to market with it, which we show overseas a couple of times a year, and we're making sure we're not putting the gowns in our store till we've been to market or just before so we can test them. But then officially when it's available readily to everyone is usually probably 8 months to a year seems to be an average time. But obviously physically, if I was just working on one gown, we could do it in, a week if we had to, but that would be a concentrated, that would be very many hours in it. They don't, again, I know it's silly, but it's sort of like, where do you actually call an hour? I know that's the
No, question, I completely understand. I completely get it. It's, how long's a piece of string really, isn't it? So, so now brides that are in that initial sort of dress shopping stage and they're unsure what dress might suit their body type or body shape, do you have any advice for that? Are there certain gown styles that suit a certain body shape?
Yes, there is. But to a degree, I'd say don't worry, just relax, enjoy yourself, come in and have it. We get the brides to browse through. Some girls have had a look on the website, so they've got a big idea of what they do like and what they don't like. And of course, if you've been shopping in other stores. So the research you've already done, yes, bear that in mind, but still have an open mind. So whether this is the last store you're going to or it's the very first store you're going to, we ask the brides just have a look through the rails, just sort of choose gowns that she likes and then try them on, and then we'll kind of work with you and then say what you're thinking. What do you like? What don't you like? Don't really edit your thoughts and don't overthink it. Just do I look good? Do I feel fabulous?
Spit out your comments and what you're thinking in your train,
because they're so different to normal. They're designed different. They're designed to show off your figure. And they're generally very fitted shapes, whether they're very firm or loose, they still show off your body. So they're usually very different clothes to what you normally wear. How I say, if you're shopping for a pair of jeans, you know what you're looking for because you've probably bought 50 pairs already in your life. So yes, I want a bit slimmer, I want a bit higher, or I want a bit bluer, or whatever it is. Whereas a wedding gown you haven't worn, and you've never normally worn that quality and that level of clothing before and get that kind of fit and that sort of look.
I would say most brides, when I'm speaking to them that have chosen their dress, it's always something they never thought they would choose.
Yeah.
Do you find that as well? So they've just had a really good person that's gone, I think you should try this, or let's try this, and they've tried a few different things on and gone, that is totally the one, and it's not what I ever grabbed as my Pinterest inspo or I thought that I would wear. So open mind, I think, is really key.
I think very much so. And that's what we do in the stores and with the stylists. We're supposed to be the bride's new best friend. So we're helping her find something for herself and then watching her pick things out and try things on based on what she's saying. Then our girls will kind of recommend other pieces. If they think there is something, they may have nailed it by themselves. Yeah. But if we think there's something else that could be worth trying on, sometimes it's like, it looks good, but it's not you. So it physically suits your body, but it's not your personal taste. So, but then it helps solidify the pieces that you did like as well.
Yes, yeah. There's a bit of an art to it, isn't there? Being those stylists and experience, I would say, as well, in that field. So brides that are starting to look for their dress, how far in advance do you think that they should really start to shop for that? Because my thoughts on that, I suppose, would be, if you're looking too far in advance, what if their body shape changes or a new collection comes out that they really like? Is there too far in advance? And also, do they have to have a certain amount of notice to be able to get their dress fitted and things like that? So
industry standard is sort of like 6 months to order a wedding gown. So really you should be looking sort of 8 months out to have a full range of choice anywhere. With us, we can do a lot shorter notice most of the time. But also we can't do every single gown all of the time. So it's really, again, it's a bit like how long is a piece of string.
Yeah.
To me, start shopping as soon as you know you are ready to start shopping. I, to a degree, don't worry about the next collection coming out. There's always going to be something else coming out. Bridal fashion isn't faddy fashion as well. So it's sort of beautiful and it's more like a soft rollover. And again, just don't overthink it. You're either an organised person or you're not. So if you're organised, get shopping because you're going to feel better.
Yes.
If you're a last minute person, you shouldn't leave it that long, but hey, it seems to work out for those
2 weeks before. I knew I forgot something. Yeah.
I mean, and we've got our sort of ready to wear dresses. So we do sell gowns off the rack, which are our beaded gowns as well. But that also works the other way. We could have sold out.
Yes.
So there's pros and cons to everything.
There's going to be an option for the last minute ones, and the people that far in advance. Yeah, you're right. I think going to feel a bit less stressed if they know they've ticked that box, I suppose.
But like I said, we do lots of last minute orders because we're one of the few companies that can really do an awful lot of last minute work.
And do you do the tailoring or the in your sort of adjusting and fittings and everything in your shops as well?
Do in most of them. In Perth, we've so in Brisbane, Melbourne and Sydney, yes, we do have seamstresses to do the fittings. If the bride would like, she doesn't have to. It's a choice. In Perth, we work with a seamstress who is brilliant. So she's got an alteration company, but she's exceptional. I wish there was one of those alteration companies everywhere else. And the same in New York, we got an alteration company that we recommend. We've got. If we don't do it, we've got some great people to recommend
as well. Okay, so when I guess people or brides are starting to look for their dress and they're a little bit sort of overwhelmed gathering inspo. Now I know that you have sort of a few different ranges. So you've got your ready to wear line, the couture range, and also that interesting sort of design your own gown concept as well. Yeah. It can be a little bit confusing what is what when people are first in that early planning stage. Can you explain a little bit what each of those entail, just for people listening in?
Well, it's sort of, this bespoke collection is also part of the DYG, and that's design your gown. So I've done it, so I've broken up the patterns. So we've got some whole gowns in the store, we've got some separates, but mostly whole gowns. But it's sort of when you try something on, you think, yes, I love this, but I wish the skirt would be tighter, or I wish this, or I wish that. So this way you can swap around. So you might find a bodice that you love, and then you can work your way through all the different skirts. Then you order that bodice with whichever skirt you've chosen. Okay. So that's the kind of like the basic concept of that. Also within that collection, you can, I mean, they can be sort of tailored to your body a little bit more, and they are a more classic wedding gown look generally, is probably the best way to say, with those gowns. And that's also where I started the company. And I mean, I started with couture, but that's an arm of that. So that's the foundation of who we are, I think.
Nice. All right.
Then we've got the next collection I did was KWH by Karen Willis Holmes, and there are beaded gowns. And these ones are the ones that are sold, they're ready to wear. So it's more like a fashion brand. So generally with wedding gowns, you choose a gown and then you place your order, which is how it's practically every other bridal store and with all of our other collections. With these gowns, they're literally sold from stock. So if it's selling, then we'll try and order some more pieces in. But there's long lead times on them. So these pieces are great if you don't have long for your wedding. Also means if you do see something you love, you need to buy it when you know it's yours. So it's the downside as your brides are then used to ordering.
That's right.
But they're very heavily beaded, so they really give you a fabulous fit and shape very easily. They sort of cling to your body, but in a good way, kind of like they skim over whatever you think is there or not there, because most girls worry about their bodies, of course, unfortunately. And then we've got the Wild Hearts gowns, and they're a bit of a combination between the both. They look like the bespoke, sort of a bit more tailored look, but they're very stretchy and flexible, so that you get the fit of the KWH gowns, and they're a reasonable price point as well. So I've only really been doing that for not even a year that they've been in the stores, but they've been going exceptionally well, and
nice.
They just look so good on very easily.
Yes, they just fit like a glove, sort of.
Yeah.
So there are lots of different shades and colours in wedding dresses now. I'm noticing there's like black ones and all different types. But talking shades, so gone, I guess, so there's just the traditional pure white only, and you've got, beiges and creams and ivories. Are there certain shades that suit particular skin tones, or is it more you just try something on and I guess what we were discussing before when you say be a little bit open to trying different colours and shades on?
And obviously it's what appeals to you and what you literally want to walk down the aisle in. You may have reasons why you want white or ivory. Most of our gowns we'd class are in the ivory sort of shade. Okay. But when you look at it, again, that's what we make all the time. So we can see hundreds of different shades of ivory, where someone walking in will think it's only just like one colour. And white as well. So I think just try it on. Does it look good? Again, don't overcomplicate matters. I find when girls are trying things on, if they didn't like it and it didn't look good, they would have taken it off. So once you're sort of narrowing it down, you're only getting that close to it if it's looking good on you.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
okay. Good way to measure it, I suppose.
Yes,
yeah. And do you have a ballpark of how many gowns you've actually got in your range at the moment?
No.
No?
Oh, let me see.
Just curious.
No, that's more. I do more than I should all the time, and I'm really trying to edit.
Overcommit.
So I'm trying to really do sort of like about 10 pieces in each collection time. But we've probably got about 80 to 100 on the shop floor all the time.
Oh my goodness, that is a lot.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk accessories with you. So I think, if the bride said yes to her dress and she's at that stage of maybe choosing accessories, so we're talking like veils, shoes, necklaces and things like that. Are there any designers at the moment that you're loving, or pieces that you think look really good and match well with your dresses?
At the moment, we're actually finding accessories, girls are less interested in them. Okay. I mean, or at least at the stage we see them. That used to be a massive thing. We used to sell lots of different diamante belts and different veils and lots of earrings. But it's really got very low key, so very minimal.
It's more keep it simple and just focus on the dress. And okay.
And fashion inspired pieces that really seems to be more classical looking jewellery that looks great on your wedding rather than it's actually wedding jewellery is what we're selling. We've actually we're not selling any jewellery in the stores anymore for
there
that.
You go. That's just
reason.
really interesting to know that's the way the trends.
Yes, it'll come back. I know it will.
Because I mean, when I look back on our sort of last wedding season, you're probably right. I don't recall that many brides that had everywhere was just focused. It was, if they did choose something, it was like, something that maybe meant to them, like their grandma's necklace or a special pair of earrings or something, but they didn't sort of go over the top with just over accessorizing. Okay. Now, any final tips, I suppose, for brides that are choosing their dress? Anything else that you can pass on wisdom for us?
I think the biggest thing when you're shopping, don't take a massive big group of people with you. You're having a nice day out, but you're certainly not choosing a wedding dress. So if you want to go out and choose a wedding dress, I think just one or two close friends that are very good to shop with. Some people are good at choosing. They're not good at helping the bride choose a gown. They're choosing what they like, not what's the right thing for the bride. And it's sort of interesting watching groups in the store, and it can get quite frustrating. So you've been shopping all day. You've got a lot of people with conflicting ideas, and no one's really focusing on the bride. Of course, there's exceptions, but that seems to be the rule. I'd keep it down to two. Having said that, in our stores, we don't have a limit.
Yes.
But just watching groups of people, it's kind of like you're out for a nice
Everyone's
day.
Everyone's got their own opinion, don't they? And it's just, sometimes those opinions are valid. And it's meant to be a lovely, special, nice moment in the afternoon, but it can be a bit overwhelming. You've got your 7 bridesmaids, your sister-in-law, your mum, your mother-in-law, and everyone's saying they like a different type of one.
Yes.
I think for a more calm environment, it makes sense to choose your 2 close besties.
And I do a few, not too many stores in one day. Again, you've got to go to as many stores as you like to shop for. And you might find the last gown in the last store and you've done 10, or you might have done 2 stores. But I think don't push it. It should be a lovely day. So if you try and do too much, you're not actually going to enjoy yourself, and you're going to get confused and over it, and you have to go back out again anyway. And you want to enjoy yourself, and you want to me, obviously it's great you're getting married, but if you can enjoy all the process as well and make that fun, and that you are going out with girlfriends and have a nice lunch in the middle, but just make it, or a drink at
champagne.
the end. Yes.
Do you find a lot of people or brides will come back to the same dress? Is that, people always say that the first one you tried on you often come back to. Does that actually happen, or not necessarily?
Yes, it does quite a lot. I think you think it does more than. I mean, also usually it's probably the one that appeals to you, which is why you put it on first as well. But yes, it does happen quite a lot.
Like a psychological thing. That's the first one that gets stuck in your mind, and you keep coming back to it or something. A lot to consider anyway. So thank you so much for sitting down for a chat with us. I know you're a very busy lady, and I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for asking me.
Now, you have boutiques in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, and even New York.
Yes.
There's also a range of stockists on your website. So what is the best way for people to get in contact with your brand?
I think to go on the website is the easiest. But then if you just email us or just call us if you have any questions. But I think all the stockists are on the website as well, so that's the easiest way to have a look. But if you've got a particular gown, not all of the stockists carry all of the gowns.
Okay.
So if you're interested in something in particular, you could check with that store that's near you if they have your gown. But also we can do some gown loans to some of our stockists if it's not all of the time. It depends on what and where.
Particular one
but if you let them know before and just see if you're interested in it, then we can kind of try and work something out if it's not there.
Okay, love it. Flexibility. Thank you. Well, thank you so much again, and we'll chat to you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. Make sure you jump onto our social media pages for more hints, tips and inspo. You can find us on Instagram at Wed Event Creators, on Pinterest at Wed Event Creator, and also via our Facebook page. And please don't forget to visit our website weddingandeventcreators.com.au to see our video tutorials and helpful blog posts.